Hello everybody, this is Old Gamer Jack here. Missed one day of video. Been still working on that one job I told y'all about. It's late again. Go figure. We gotta work, right? Anyway, I still been working on the channel in the background, like I said I was gonna be doing. So I actually, after paying attention to some of the videos, we're going to try to write, like, not a script, but like a bullet point. It'll help me try to stay on track. Also, if later, maybe in a couple of videos, I might actually change the channel name. The feedback I get from YouTube is pretty much, Old Gamer Jack, but I don't post no gaming videos, so it might be beneficial if I change the channel name. But other than that, we're still going to stick to what we normally do. So today I wanted to talk to y'all about, pretty much it's something that nobody wants to hear. And I might do a series on this. And I don't know how long this video particularly go. I do have a subject I want to talk about, but I also want to go into a little bit of detail of what this new series that I'm thinking about doing is going to consist of. As you know, through Google, YouTube, any kind of website, it seems to be this theme where constantly trying to take advantage of the poor person, which, as y'all know, I'm right there with y'all. And one thing I've learned is there is no get rich, quick thing. You've heard that, but from what I understand, there ain't really nothing out there to even help you out a little bit. I mean, I'm not talking about the tips and some tricks and stuff like that. I'm talking about full blown, do this for 30 days, get this result. None of that shit works. Excuse the language again. But we basically going to go into a series. It's going to be like simple truths that nobody wants to hear, and we're going to base it on the hard lessons that I've learned in my lifetime. Hopefully it'll help some of y'all out. If it does, subscribe, like, comment. But I'm pretty sure I've had some hard lessons in life, so I've got some of that to share. So I'll probably put that in a series. So we're going to get into it now. Like I said, I got bullet points here, and we're going to do that. That way I don't go rambling on and on and on and on, because as y'all know, I like to ramble. So one of the new things that I've seen, especially with the younger generation, is the whole new car thing. And this is a touchy subject, because I've told y'all in an earlier video, even the working man, he'll have to work a lot of overtime. He's trying to stretch a paycheck, and he'll buy that new vehicle just to feel good about himself. It's like a status, like, I think I've earned it, whatever excuse they tend to come up with. You hear a lot of people say, I need a new car. No, you don't. This is what no one wants to hear. New cars are not worth it. Not for us poor people anyway. Okay, I'll try to explain that as we go through this video. But trust me, they're not worth it. One of the biggest things that I've noticed is, if you're tight on money to begin with, a new car actually becomes a liability. It's stressful. And it traps you. I mean, there's nothing that you can really do about it. Let's say you've been working at your job for a year or two. You're finally making enough money where the bank says, okay, yeah, we'll back you up. We'll help you out with that car loan, let you get a new car. Okay, and then the company lays off. That car payment ain't going to wait. They want it month by month by month. They don't care about no excuses. Get so far behind, they come and repossess the car. You've lost all the money you've put into it. Not only that, car insurance, as everyone knows, can be outrageous. And when you're making payments on a new car, you have to have full coverage insurance. And that's not cheap either. So, I don't care how low the car salesman says he can give you the car payment for, stretch it out for, I'm not even sure what they would do that, 10, 15, 20 years? I have no idea on that part. But if they say that we're going to stretch it out, we're going to give you a car payment for a per person, let's say low. And I know this is lower than what you can actually get it, but let's say $300 a month. Now, y'all all know there's no way you're getting a brand new car at no $300 a month. But then you got to add that $300 full coverage insurance on top of that. So now you're $600 a month. And you got to make those payments. You got to. Okay, now you're putting groceries in jeopardy. You're even tighter with money. Your stress goes up. I mean, and it's not like you get it holds value. As soon as that car comes off that parking lot, it loses almost half its value. And now that's something you can go check out yourself. Google it, look it up. I mean, it's you can find that information anywhere. So we're saying if you buy a car and it's $50,000, as soon as it touches that payment, it's worth $25,000. Another thing that most people don't know either, you get full coverage insurance, and the insurance company is only going to cover what the blue book value is. And okay, that blue book value don't care what the car lot's selling that car for. So let's say you buy let's say a Toyota Celica or a Toyota Acura or something like that. You pay $35,000 or so is what the car is going to cost you. With the interest and everything, let's say you're hitting around $46,000. Okay, let's say your insurance on that's a 4-door, it's not a sports model and nothing like that. So let's say you lucked up and you can get the insurance, let's say $250 to $300. All right, you got those payments. As soon as it hits the pavement, as far as the car dealership is concerned, you've lost half value. Now that will affect you later on for trading in or whatever the case may be. But let's say you go 5 months down the road, you get into a wreck. An insurance company totals the car, and they say, well we're sorry, but we're only going to give you $20,000 because that's all the car is worth, which I believe it'd probably be worth less than that, but this is a scenario. Okay, so the rest of that's on you. That car lot is not going to just forget about the rest of the money that you owe them. And what are you going to do about a vehicle then? All the money you had is gone. And you probably ain't got no money saved up for that. You take that $20,000, but like I said, the car lot ain't going to walk away without their money. So between having to pay them and then you got to get another vehicle, it becomes a nightmare, and quick too, especially if it turns out it's your fault for the accident. It can get real complicated. So to me, let's see here, the next one, yeah. If you're tight on money, or if you're like me, you're paycheck to paycheck. Now I'm paycheck to paycheck. Any kind of setback hurts. If I get sick for one day, I got to make shit stretch. And for Americans, that's quite a few of us. That's not something rare. That's quite a few of us. So my advice, especially to you younger ones, or to anyone struggling on this, get you a used car. Now hear me out. Now, I'm not talking about running out there and buying the cheapest car you could find. I'm not talking like that. There are some makes and models that are older that have quite a good reputation. Toyotas, as everyone knows, Toyotas are actually known for going 200, 300,000 miles The old saying is a Toyota will run till the body rusts off the frame. Now that's the older models, not the newer models, because I told you before, everything today is made to break. They won't last nowhere near what an older car will. Now for this generation here, considering what year it is, I'm saying go back to, well, go back as early as you can, but at least the late 80s, 90s, 2000. I wouldn't go past 2008 or 2010. And I know for a lot of people that's like, damn, that's old as hell. But those are what really, believe it or not, that's the most dependable cars you can get. They're reliable. You can work on them. The parts are cheap. You get you a reliable, dependable used car. 9 out of 10 times, you can go to these, you can find them straight out, save your income tax. Around where I'm at, now I know it's different from whatever area you're coming from. We've already talked about that. But in the area that I'm at, you can get a decent used car anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500. Okay, for a lot of people, that's income tax. That's your state and federal put together. You should be able to swing it, or, tighten your belt, save a little bit, plus that. If you get a Christmas bonus, which I don't know if anyone does that anymore either. We don't, so put that with it. And, it's dependable. You won't have no payments. If something starts to go wrong with it, you could fix it yourself. You can get on a YouTube video if it's something simple like the water pump goes out in it. On these older cars, you could do that yourself. It ain't that complicated. Don't get scared about it. Watch the video. Get the basic idea what you got to do. Hey, take your phone out there and follow it step by step. But a water pump for an older car costs you a whole lot cheaper than buying a water pump for a new car that you can't even do yourself. You'll have to take it to a mechanic shop. And just because the cars are new, they're all the time having issues. They have to tear that motor apart to get to it, because as you know, most new motors on new cars are completely encased, it seems like. And the way that they make them nowadays, with all the computer stuff in it, and the wirings and this and that, they have to disassemble, if it's a water pump, basically the whole front end just to get to it. And they'll stick it to you. It'll be in the labor. That's where they'll get you at. So I'm telling you, older, reliable, dependable car is the way to go. If you're poor, if you're struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, you shouldn't even be thinking about a new car right now. The whole idea is not to struggle so much. Okay, you're poor. A lot of us can't get out of that, and I completely understand that. But that doesn't mean you got to be stressed. It doesn't mean you actually have to be broke. You can be poor and still have a little bit of money in your pocket. So, but with a new car, that goes out the window. And like I said, you get laid off, you get sick. I mean, for us poor folk, that's suicide for us, And a lot of times you'll have to go to work sick. Or you'll have to take a temp job if you get laid off. Like, no matter if you hate it, if it's the dirtiest job, you might have to take a pay cut because you got that new car payment and insurance coming in. And people say, well, you still got to have insurance on the used car. True, but you can get just liability. If it gets totaled and it's the other person's fault, they got to pay for it anyway if it gets totaled. And no, you're not going to get a lot of money for it. A used car, shoot, I think they might give you maybe $1,500. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Let's see. The biggest thing is, like I said, it's the debt. When you're poor, debt is what keeps you down. It keeps you in a trap. Every subscription you do, every payment you have to make every month, it becomes a trap on you. This is stuff that you have no no say. It's got to be paid. Your electric bill. You got to have a grocery bill. I mean, unless you want to go hungry all the time. Now, I know for poorer folks, it's like, well, even if I don't have the new car, I'll still have a hard time with groceries because grocery prices are high. I'll make another video on that. You know, how to make meals stretch. You know, it's not that hard either. It might get boring, but there's ways you can liven it up. Like I said, I'll do a video on that later. The main thing about buying you a used car and having it paid off is the freedom. That's the biggest thing. Freedom. You can breathe. Oh, you get sick. You can call in. Oh, you're going to be tight. You're going to be tight. I'm not giving you no, you know, what they call witch doctor medicine. I'm not saying that at all. You're going to be tight. But you ain't got to worry about no tow truck coming and taking your car. That's freedom. It's less stress. Stress will kill you faster than anything. And for, you know, people like me and stuff, the less stress I got, the better it is. Now, I told you it was a hard lesson I learned. So I'll give you the story on that. I was probably in my younger 20s. Now, yeah, it's some time ago now. And back then, that's when the IROC disease and stuff was, you know, that was the thing on the road. And, you know, I wasn't making no outrageous money. I was still living at home, as a matter of fact. And so that gave me extra money in my pocket. I only had to give a few hundred to my parents at the time. And that's all I had to do. So with that extra money, I was like, I'm going to go get me a car. I wanted one of those IROCs. Back then, IROC, with all the bells and whistles, even back then was like 19,000. Insurance, full coverage was only, well, I had a clean driving record, all like that, so I only had to pay like $130. That got me full coverage. But now you got to remember, you're making less money back then too, so it's just as bad. I didn't think about none of that. That sucker drank gas. Of course, you know, being younger, you're going to play with it. Didn't take long. Started having some mechanical issues. Went to, back then, like I said, you could also work on them. Had to fix it and everything else. Still had to make that car payment. Well, all in all, then it was like I started to get to the age where it was like, you know, I got to have my own place. You know, I wanted, you know, you want to go out, you want to party, you want to be with girls, or if you're a girl or a guy, you know, but you know what I'm saying, you want to be with girls stuff. So I was like, I got to get out of here and get my own place. So I didn't want to get one of those boarding houses for single men because that would defeat the whole purpose. So ended up getting an apartment. I tell you right now, there was a couple of months I went without electricity because if I paid the electric bill, I wouldn't have been able to afford the car payment. And at that particular area I was living at, I had a water bill, a sewage bill, the electric bill, the rent, and I had to pay for trash. The trash, I had no say in that because the landlord, he was the kind, if you wasn't getting your trash picked up, that he would use that as a reason to evict you. You know, different landlords, different, you know, different strokes. So there's a few months I always like, what the heck with it, electricity. I spent all my time at work. And back then, I was trying to jump all over overtime. And shoot, there was many a times I ate bologna sandwiches, fried bologna sandwiches. And I lived off of ramen noodles with hot dogs in it and that shredded cheddar cheese. I lived off that because I couldn't afford nothing else really. Now, of course, on weekends I could go over to my parents and I can have me a decent home cooked meal from my mama. But you know, eventually I think it was around four or 5,000 left to pay off the car. And my own stupidity, you know, like I said, it is what it is. Young, dumb, trying to do stuff I shouldn't have. Went to race it down a road against another guy and blew the motor. Well, as they say, holy, that's the way I was thinking. Oh, that messed me up. So, pretty much when I blew the motor, I just had the car towed back to the place and let it sit. And I didn't make no more payments on it. It only took like 2 months. Tow truck showed up to get the car. Took the car while I was at work, and I had a buddy that was picking me up, and I was paying him gas money. And it took 2 days, 3 days, and it was from the car lot. They were suing me for the remainder amount of the car. So I went to court. Of course, the judge, you know, they win. I didn't think they was going to lose, you know, but I couldn't afford to pay it. You know, they tried to set up payment plans, whatever, but being young and dumb, I was trying to save my money because I had to get another car. So I couldn't even afford the payments on that. And since I blew it up racing, the insurance company wasn't going to give me nothing for it. So basically that went to my credit. I took a huge hit to my credit report. Now back then, I didn't give two craps about credit report. As I got older, that mattered. But in any case, I ended up buying a Toyota short bed small pickup, red. That thing ran and ran and ran. It was a 5-speed, nothing special. It had a heater in it. No AC. That was the windows. But that thing lasted me, and I put it through hell. I really did. I put it through hell, through the woods, through the field. You know, I put it through some hell. It didn't look pretty as time went on. It did have that rust disease always around the door and around the back tires. But I knew for a fact I could go out there, that thing would crank every time. She never gave me no issues. Now, of course, you know, you do your normal maintenance stuff. You got to change oil. You know, I think the water, like I said, the water pump went out on me one time. Because back then, that was your thing, the water pump and the belts. Other than that, it was like a sewing machine. You know, and I got that straight out. That was income tax. I already had the hit on my credit. So, you know, I took my income tax and I bought it from this guy that lived in the same town I did. I had to negotiate with him a little bit. Basically told him this is all the cash I got. You know, one of those, you know, this is all I got, take it or leave it, you know. And I looked up, he took it. And the reason why he was selling it is because he went and bought a brand new truck. But I'll never forget that truck. One of the best vehicles I've ever had. It really, really, truly was the best vehicle I ever had. Dependable, like I said, real dependable. I did had to replace the heating coil one time. But other than that, no, it was good. So, you know, like I said, nobody wants to tell you that when you're young, when you're older, you know, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I want a new car. I need a new car. No, you don't. I'm telling you, no, you don't. You know, unless you can buy it out straight for cash, don't. It's a trap. They're not worth it. They really aren't. They ain't even worth the price they're asking for. Get you a dependable, reliable, used car. the stress alone that will come off of you, you'll thank me later for that. I promise you. And like I said, look for the makes and models that are older cars that they're known for. I think Honda was a good one. Toyota was a good one. You can, do a little investigation. Find out what cars were the best back then that has a reputation of being reliable. Don't buy the first bucket of rust you find. I'm not saying that. And don't worry so much about appearance. Like I said, you get you like a Toyota pickup that's older. If it's got a dent in the bed, don't worry about it. You might know a friend that can knock the dent out for you. A little bit of rust on the car, who cares? It gets you from point A to point B. If it's reliable, you can do decent trips. The main thing is you're trying to stay out of the trap. We're already trapped as it is being poor. You don't need to put yourself in another one. So I'm going to include today's video on that. Like I said, it's simple truth with a hard lesson. I guarantee you, if you just stop and think about it for a minute, is it really worth that? Is it worth the stress? Is it worth taking that chance that your job can let you go, or you can get sick, and then you lose it all? And when you lose a new car like that, you lose all the money you've got into it, you take a hit, to your own, your own mental self, the stress and all that stuff. You take a hit. Just, get you an older used car. And heck, you can fix it up if you want. They're cheaper to work on. They really are. Get you an old, what they call square body pickup truck. If you're a guy and that's what you're into, fix it up. Make it look pretty. It's cheap. You can do it cheap. Takes a little bit of time. You can't do it all in one day. Also, you can use it for a side business. It's a work truck or a van. I know people like, oh, I don't want no damn van. Look, if that damn van will last you 10 years or so, it's outlasted most new cars today. And you can take a van and you can do other stuff with it. You can start side business with it. You can have a family with it. And that's the point. So I think I did pretty good today, staying on topic. So like I said, if I made you think about anything today, subscribe, like, comment, and like I said, we're probably going to do a series on this. Simple truths with a hard lesson. Okay? Till then, y'all take care. This is Old Gamer Jack out.